Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, 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 what's up?
Good morning, sir.
How are you, Ben?
Doing well, living all of the new normals. How about you?
Yeah, I am. I'm not used to, having this gang around, for breakfast in the morning,
Hey, gang. Hey, gang. So, you know, you are Canopy's CEO and founder, and a lot of the um, resources and experiences that you are drawing on in the founding of Canopy and our work developing the Canopy certified program is really stuff that you learned, in the gauntlet of trying to transform a janitorial B Corp that you took over from your father back in 2001.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just, tell us a little bit about what is FMS PVC and what do you all do and how's that happening? How's that playing out in these times?
It just occurred to me when you said that, 2001, it was May of 2001. So,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're coming up on 19 years. Wow. Yeah. So I just had that moment right there.
It's a crazy hyper jump tunnel through time.
Yeah. So, with FMS, we talk about it a lot, at the shop with Canopy with you guys. It's that it was really a story of that idea of moving from intuitively doing good, that just having a sense that treating people well and doing the right things from maybe a moral, ethical standpoint and trying to be good to one another. I've always been grounded in a belief of, this common humanity for me is maybe the closest thing that I have, shouldn't say closest, but one of my spiritual sort of, tenets, what I hold on to, and that's the interconnectedness between us and the environment and all things. And just sort of going into a business setting with that sentiment and, not maybe having the most sophisticated business plan at first, but just really trusting the idea that, if we take care of people that, through that, success will happen. And also holding on to this idea of not limiting the concept of success to financial success, right? So that oftentimes is where people go to when they think of business.
Right. And so, you all are a janitorial company and, have cleaned lots of buildings for lots of years. What's changed for you all in this pandemic?
Oh, wow. It's been nuts, Ben. I mean, it's been absolutely bonkers, as is, you guys know, because you're pretty much running the show these days and doing a fabulous job at it. I've had to pull away from Canopy a little bit. You and the team, the other Ben and Amanda and El Shaddai and Alex and Trusty Lauren are still carrying the flame very, very well. But yeah, so what's happened is really what I like to, when I talk about it, it's like a logistical challenge more than anything,
Right.
Because there's so many changes that are occurring, almost seems like hour by hour. So what happened, as you can imagine, is we had a lot of folks, buildings that literally shut down that we were cleaning, right? That no longer need anybody to clean. But then at the same time, as those pieces of business went away, then you also had this new type of business that was occurring, and that was around, hey, we want people to come in and make sure our buildings are sanitized and safe. We need something for our employees to assure them that it's okay. So now all of a sudden we've got people that need to be trained very rapidly on CDC guidelines, which, by the way, are also changing very rapidly. So it's a constant, change of training, and get them out there to do that. And then on top of that, we have COVID cleanup. So that's when an organization calls up and says, we have a suspected case or a confirmed case. We decided early on we're going to treat them both the exact same because you don't know. And then what do we do in that case? And, we go in the full Tyvek suits and, again, following the CDC guidelines and how do we clean this and what do we do? And then the third part, Ben, is, this sort of a cleanup where people call us up and say, hey, we're ready to get back to work. Can you come in and clean everything top to bottom and get it ready for us? And So that's really how it's changed. So, we've had some business go away, but then we've had new types of business come in. Now that doesn't even get into the safety piece and taking care of our people piece, which of course is a major part of what's going on. Ben, we're on the front line. These folks out there are putting themselves at risk, going into workplaces and showing up every day, which is a huge testament to their heart and what they care about.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell me a little bit more about that. I mean, before there was a pandemic, you already worked with an at-risk population, of employees who, sometimes struggled with all sorts of things. Some of them were coming out of addiction treatment programs. Some of them struggle with housing. And FMS has developed a number of programs to try to address that, helping with transportation, helping with access to quality food with the fresh stop markets. Tell me a little bit about how you all are responding and listening to the needs right now of your workers.
Yeah. First, I'll say, and I don't want to make a generalization, but it's interesting observation to me that what I notice oftentimes is the people that have been through some of the most difficult situations are often the first ones to step up and help others that have, and it's just an interesting, thing. And that definitely shows up at FMS. It's like, that so many folks who've been through difficult times and, I guess the people that we would think would need, wouldn't have the resources to help as much as others seems to be the people that are willing to sacrifice the most to help others, which is, touching and a beautiful lesson for us all, right? I mean, I think it's amazing. So in terms of our people, I guess the big hot topic is PPEs were a big deal, right? Personal protective equipment. We finally got our masks in about a week ago, a little over a week ago.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, man. So we were, obviously people that were going in for the COVID cleanings, we were supplying the limited supply of masks that we had. We were giving that. But in terms of our general population, I don't want to say I'm embarrassed to say, I mean, we were doing everything we could to get it. But it was a different world out there. And to give you a little peek into that world, for example, we put in orders for masks, 3-4 weeks ago. And it was an interesting dynamic. You'd have all these folks that said, we can get these things for you, which was a curiosity, right? Because you would watch the news and think, well, wait a minute, they're telling us that even hospitals and government can't get these things. How are you going to sell these things to me?
Right.
So then you would begin to read the fine print, and it would essentially say, okay, not only are they super expensive, but number two is you're going to have to pay for 50% up front before the shipment gets there. And then you're going to have to sign all this language that says, you know what? It might not show up. It might not show up for 6 months. It might not show up for 3 months, and the government might seize it. It might be taken away by this, and you might not even get it. And by the way, your deposit's non-refundable. So it's this really interesting thing. What do you do with that? How do you decide? Oh, and another piece I forgot to tell you is like early on, it was like you had to order 20,000 or something. You had to be willing to spend an incredible tens of thousands of dollars.
Right.
In order to get anything. So it was absolutely bonkers. And, at one point I got onto my personal Facebook account and said, hey, does anybody know anybody that has any masks? But fortunately, we were able to secure a little bit earlier than I think than some others. We got cloth masks, and supposedly next week we'll have another 10,000 masks coming in. We got 1,500 in 10 days ago. So, but yeah, I mean, just imagine that challenge, and, wanting to help your folks out and do the right thing, but the supply, it simply isn't there. What do you do with that? It's a strange world.
Yeah, that is challenging. And for the folks that are going in and cleaning in COVID sensitive areas, like, what are you all doing to kind of cheer them on or support them financially as well?
Yeah. Well, first of all, financial support for the company, which was really exciting. We did retroactive. This previous paycheck, we went back 2 weeks and we gave $3 an hour across the board raise to everybody, hazard pay raise. So
wow,
for everybody who's working, that was a big deal for us. In terms of the people that are going in the COVID, it's amazing. Like I was telling you before, it's an all volunteer crew. We ask people who want to do it, and we actually had more volunteers than we needed. All kinds of people said they were willing to help and wanted to be a part of it. And of course, it begins with training. So we would have to continually, and we continue to research what are the CDC guidelines on cleaning this stuff up. We're constantly having to change our materials that we've created for that. And we have a senior leader in the company that has become the expert on it. And he trains every one of the folks to go out into the field to do these cleanups. So yeah, Ben, they've got to put on the Tyvek suits. They've got the goggles. They've got the gloves. They've got all of the PPE equipment. And yes, they also get a significant, they get a significantly higher level of pay than anybody else in the company, doing the regular cleaning, because again, we feel like that's an at-risk job.
Yeah, I hear that. How are you all right now tracking your social and environmental impact with this crisis? I mean, a lot of companies are quickly changing their governance policies, and a lot of companies are, just being very responsive to their communities and doing things like providing food deliveries and, donating money to this or that. How are you all tracking that right now?
Yeah. My kids just sent me a note that you said PP. All right. So what am I supposed to do with that, Ben?
That's all the new normals. Just
this is what happens when you have a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old sitting beside you while you're doing this. I wouldn't recommend that to any of your future guests, by the way. You might want to put that out there.
Just put that in the standard operating procedure. Like maybe be in another room other than your kids. Guys,
I see Amanda down here is just horrified. She said, "Oh my God! All right, go. All right, go."
Wow, he's totally bombing your.
All right, what was the question, Ben?
I was just curious how you're tracking, or at least attempting to track, all the social and environmental impact that you're having right now.
Yeah, so one of the interesting things we're talking about, Ben, at FMS is how the culture that we set up over the last 19 years, and the goodwill we've accrued in terms of our leaders and how they operate and how we take care of one another through a lot of the things that you mentioned, be it the Fresh Stop marketplaces with our partnership with New Roots, be it the way we work with Metro United Way and a lot of our innovative program. All of those things, to me, when you think of organizational dynamics, I often think of it metaphorically. So many things are similar to an individual. So when an individual goes through a trauma, right, a lot of the triggering points, a lot of the things that agitated them before come to the forefront again, right? They get scratched again during the trauma. And the same thing I think holds true in an organization. And what I think is interesting and feel particularly proud of is that at FMS, during this national, global trauma, the culture has allowed us to move through this as well as you could hope, in that there's definitely a sense of pulling together. There's definitely a sense of taking care of each other. There's definitely the sentiment that you're alluding to didn't have to be brought up continuously. That is, let's think about our people first and foremost. Let's think about doing the right thing first and foremost. It just occurred naturally. And, so every decision was grounded in what's best for our folks, what's best for our community. And, we started having daily meetings, call it 3.5, 4 weeks ago. We essentially meet every day at 10 o'clock, and it's what happened in the last 24 hours? What do we need to deal with? But I can confidently say that the decisions were grounded in our values, in which the number one being care about the people you work with. Now, in terms of sort of measuring this right now, and it's really not there, right? I think once we get out of it a little bit, get a little breathing room, we'll look back and say, you know what, we distributed, this many masks to our people. We did this many trainings. We helped out. I will tell you, like, for example, one thing we are doing is we're doubling our folks that receive the New Root shares up at our schools up in New Albany, Floyd County. So, that's a decision we made because we figure people are really scrambling in these times right now and could use some help. So we did that. And obviously I just told you about, you've got 40 people that received a $3 an hour raise that went into effect, that we plan on continuing for at least another 6 weeks. But in terms of, our traditional way of measuring our social impact, I think our social impact right now is doing the right thing and surviving this and taking care of our people, making sure they're safe.
Yeah. What do you feel like is the opportunity right now?
In terms of helping folks, in terms of doing good in the community?
Well, for your business and others, as folks consider either reopening or rebooting, or pivoting is a word that we're hearing a lot. What do you feel like as you listen to the news, your peers, and really the government? What do you feel like is the opportunity right now for business owners?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. On a large scale, Ben, I think perhaps, maybe I should say I'm hopeful, that we have a new appreciation for, let's call it unskilled labor. That we have a new appreciation for the folks that are bagging our groceries, the folks that are wiping off our tables at a restaurant, the folks that are cleaning our toilets, the folks that are out there, running our gas stations and things like that, because essentially in the last, 6-7 weeks, they're the ones that made sure things kept ticking. And I'm hoping that this raises appreciation, and that in turn manifests itself in perhaps a rethinking of wages, benefits, the way we take care of these folks. So I'm hoping that that's one thing that may come out of this. A second piece is, I think that the heightened awareness of health and safety of people in workplaces. I don't think we'll go back to just jumping into unnecessary sort of large gatherings going on, especially in workplaces. I think we're going to be a lot more careful. I think there's going to be a lot more thought put into things like surfaces at work. Are they cleanable? Are they easy to disinfect? I think there's going to be a lot more thought put into space and how space is designed in workplace settings. And I think there's going to be a lot more thought put into this idea of remote working. I have a feeling there's going to be a much higher percentage of people working from home permanently after this. So a lot of redefinition of how we get work done, but also hopefully a revaluing of certain jobs maybe that were looked at in a little bit of a non-caring way previously.
Right. I hear that. Well, I mean, that's actually some really great, insightful thoughts for people that are thinking about where they could make new products or different products, or how to market, where and how to market their products. So listen up for that, business owners. We work together all the time, and I know how you think about business and its role in making a positive impact. But for the folks watching, how would you define good business?
I would define good business. I do define good business as a business that isn't purely motivated by profit, that sees itself responsible for making the world a better place as it goes about making its transactions. So the idea, way back when I was kind of on the speaking circuit early on, I would often use the example of when I was in Boy Scouts. We would go into a campsite, and when we were done the next day, the scoutmaster would always say, "Hey, you need to go pick up." We would spread out by line and literally walk across the ground. And the idea was, we were told that we had to pick up at least 50% more trash than what we produced. So the idea being is that we left our environment better off than it was when we first came. And to me, that is the sentiment, the thinking I have around good business. And that is, let's go about doing our business and let's make a profit. Let's make a living. And at the same time, as we go about doing this, let's leave our neighborhood, let's leave our community, let's leave our world a little bit better off as we go about doing that.
Yeah, I love that. Well, if folks want to get in touch with Facilities Management Services, PBC, for any cleaning services or anything, where should they go?
If they want to, they can call us at 502-479-3286.
That's just your style. Give us a phone call.
Or you can visit the website at www.facilitiesmgmt.com. That's FACILITIESMGMT.com. Right. I think it's also FMSPBC.com now too, for if you want the whole short thing. FMSPBC.com. Yeah,
the shorter thing is generally a little bit better on the old interwebs.
Yeah, or if you want to fax us, you can fax us.
Oh my God. So thank you for swinging by the Canopy Cafe, Scott. It's always a treat to chat with you. I miss our in-person hangs, of course. Looking forward to being able to get together in person again. And I appreciate your time.
Yep. See you, buddy.
All right. Bye-bye.